Hello, everyone. And that was not me. That was StreamYards with that little bit of a hesitating pause glitch, kind of like Michael Jordan double clutching, double pumping through the lane for a jump shot. Hey, that was it. But I have already boomered. Yes, I have already boomered in the backstage. It does not help your broadcasting. When you're talking into your mic, your co host cannot hear you because you don't have your headset plugged in to the jack. So, hey, we're off to a nice, rousing, wonderful start. But hey, what Dad Man show would not be complete without some kind of boomering in a way? And that one did qualify as a boomer, my friends. So we made it to the end of week 9. We're going to be entering week 10 of the XFL football season. We got spring football in the brain, and let me bring it in here with a great co-host, the guy that makes some really, really stunning and great graphics for us and works really, really hard. Is a diehard St. Louis fan who, I don't know, might have to hold him back this week because I tell you, it was a rough week last Saturday for his team. But hey, let's give a hand and a great welcome for the Woopah Troopah. Hey, Woopah, how are you
Hello.
tonight?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing better now that I realized that I could hear you by plugging in the jack. So
That'll help things for sure.
yeah, just a little bit. You're sitting there like, I can hear you, you can't hear me. And then I finally
Yeah.
realized my mic was picking me up, but I like going. I had to use a headset. My old TV, the one that broke, it got so garbled it would static, so I had to get rid of it. So now nothing plays sound, so I have to use the headsets. And
Mm.
then I didn't realize didn't have it plugged in. So you know, but hey, before we jump into all the football and all this stuff, How are you doing today? How was your day today?
It was pretty good. The day went by fairly quickly. I got a lot of stuff done.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm here. So
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good. Um, well, I'm about to jump too far ahead in our questions, though, but I'll wait for some of them till we actually get to go live. But how have you liked the XFL season so far?
it's been pretty good. There's been a decent amount of good games. I don't think sadly, I don't think it's quite as good as 2020. I think some of that has to do with uh, having two spring leagues now, maybe taking a little bit more talent than away, so it's spread out between two leagues instead of all in one league. But
Mm-hmm.
overall, it's still been pretty good. And someone brought up a good point. If there's one good game every week, that's basically pretty similar to the NFL,
Mm-hmm.
because there's only that's 25% of games that are good. You go to the NFL, uh, there's a lot of pretty crappy games, but you don't
Yeah.
remember those because you just watched the couple that are good.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, I know years ago, especially when you get to some of those teams that are really, really bad in some of the divisions that really are stinky, like if you, before this last season, if you had to watch Jaguar games every week, yeah, you were watching crap every week.
But hey, now the Jaguars are good. They're back.
Hey, exactly. All you need to get Miami a little bit better and Tampa Bay back to what it was, and then the state of Florida could run pro football again.
Yeah, well, I don't mind keeping it to one good team in Florida at a time.
Well, unfortunately, my friend, the one team that matters the most to me is a long way from being good, and you know which one that is.
Oh yeah, this
The
is true.
Florida Gators. Forget this pro stuff. Oh my gosh. Next season, I don't know. I don't know. I might have to go outside the SEC. I don't you guys, you Whoopa and Mark that outpicked me and the guests and the chat really helped me survive last football season. I will say that was very, very, very a rough season. It started great, but it really got bad really quickly, So, and it was a streak of really high highs and really really low lows. which to me is sometimes worse than having a really good or really bad season. Oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Well, hey, let us go greet the chat. Let's greet the chat. Let's say howdy to the great Snortopoopas Cuber, our resident polar bear, the man, myth, the legend, and hey, the guardian of Florida. Hey, my friend, how are you doing tonight, sir? And thank you for the tweet out earlier because we've already got 8 people here with us already, Woopa.
Oh,
So thank
snap.
you, everybody, this quickly and hang around. Listen, one thing we like to do here is talk any football. We're focusing on the XFL, one of the 2 spring leagues right now. But if you have general football questions, if you don't know something about rules or whatever, some of the uniqueness of the XFL, ask anything. We love talking sports, and we love explaining things to people if you want to learn. I've officiated basketball too. That's a fun sport to do. But hey, just a little detour right there. And Stunning and Brave is in. Hello, Stunning and Brave, waving. Hey there. And welcome to Miss Martin Muses. I've not seen you here before, but thank you so much. I appreciate you being here very much. And we got a little soccer ball out there. And you never know. I'm willing to talk some soccer. I got a friend in England. I'm sure he likes to talk some soccer. Can we do it? Monday night, I'll talk about it at the end. Monday nights, I'm starting a weekly news type of random sports show where we'll talk about various news topics in the news of various sports. This next week, we'll focus on the NFL draft because that's the big thing. But we'll look at baseball stats. We'll look at hockey playoffs, things like that. But hey, I'm open to soccer. If you want to come listen and hang out, I'll talk whatever you want to talk about. So. And make sure, folks, if you're on the Twitch side, follow us over there. We're at 81. And if on this YouTube side, hit that like button, everybody. Make sure you hit the like button. And if you like it, give us a sub too, because we're at 206. And, we'll see what happens when we get to 250. But Miss Martin Muses, it's a pleasure to have you here. And I love your streams too. I wish I could get to more of them very often, but I love your streams. But great to have you here. And Stunning Brave, the Gator Boys. Yeah, really. You really. And hello to the great Lisa. Hey, Lisa, the purveyor of fine food on Twitter, So actually, Stunning and Brave, they have had rule changes to allow you to do that these days. You remember, Woopa, like the controversy in the NFL with the Eagles pushing the pile, and even the NFL and the colleges, they've allowed pushing the pile. So basically, you can either push your blocker forward, or the blockers can use the guy with the ball. Well, not really as a human shield, but they can use them as a weapon to get in the end zone. So
there was I forget who it was. No, it's not a very good start to the convo, but I remember some player who stiff-armed a defender into another defender. You remember that?
Mm-hmm. Oh yes.
I don't remember who that was, but I remember watching that play. It's like, oh my goodness. He just threw him at another guy to take him out.
Yes. Oh my goodness. And greetings to my movie co-host, Daisy Blossom Flower Child. And we just talked about Demolition Man on Wednesday night. We had a great conversation. If you haven't seen it, go back, go check out our video from Wednesday night. And all great time as always. And tag me for that SVP. I'll be there. What does SVP mean? I don't.
Let me see.
But I'll tag. Yeah, I'm just like, yeah, because it's like I don't do well with all the acronyms. Because like RPG, everybody talks about RPG. I think of rocket propelled grenade. And I know Snortopoopas is sitting there probably shaking his head saying, I even know what an RPG is. So
I don't know. This says looking up stuff, all these things. It says it means senior vice president. I'm guessing that's not what they meant.
Oh well, hey, you can be a vice president anywhere. I know Miss Martin Muses. That's awesome. Let's see, and look, Snortopoopas is already using the soccer ball out there. Very talented. And like Daisy says, such talent, Snortopoopas. And Brian, if that's a recent rule change, yeah. Welcome in, Brian. Good to see you tonight. Hey. Super vice president. Yeah, hey. Well, Miss Bermuses can be super vice president anywhere she wants because, go check her out too. She does a lot of great streams and it's really nice to see what she does. And Stunning does great art too. So all you guys, thank y'all for your support around here. Oh god. Oh, take me for that Sivu play. Oh, there you go, Snortapoopas. If you would please. Oh, okay, okay, all right,
Okay,
all
yeah,
right.
I didn't know that.
That's I did not. I'm the last person for being French. So, but hey,
Hmm.
all righty. So, absolutely with soccer, yes, absolutely. But hey, welcome everybody. Hey, like I said, we're talking football tonight. We're talking XFL football. And I'm not surprised you'd be doing that, Megatron, but that's cool. Yeah, go check out. It will look classy though. They always do. You have a great talent for making them classy. So as I said, we've hit week 10 in the XFL, which is the last week of the regular season, followed by 2 weeks of playoffs, a week off, then the championship game. Um, but we had a lot of changes here in week 9. Some big developments, some uh, very not necessarily shocking, but some outcomes that really have changed the playoff situation, and we'll get into that more as we go along with Woopah Troopah here. So well, we got it. We're 15 minutes in. We greeted everybody in the chat. We got 9 people watching us. Hey, uh, Woopah Troopah, any thoughts before we start running down last week's action?
No, I'm ready to go.
All righty, sir. All right, I'll bring it. Step up and let's see.
Look, you're seeing double on the screen right now.
Yeah, no. There we go.
All right.
All right. Oh yeah, the background. Yeah, there we go. All righty.
So we had the first game of the week, Vegas at Houston. This one actually came down to the wire. Did you watch this one? I guess you were busy on this, weren't you?
This game I did not get to see this one live, but I mean, the first reaction is I missed a good game.
Yeah, so Vegas had a pretty solid lead going into the half, but Houston came back strong in the second half. The fun thing is in the first 3 quarters, Houston had a total of 50 rushing yards. And
Mm-hmm.
then in 2 plays, they had 2 rushes that went combined for 50 yards and a touchdown. So they really turned it on late in the game, got the running game going. Jalen McClendon for the Vipers had a pretty good game. He had 27 for 37, 249 passing yards, 41 rushing yards on 5 carries, 2 passing touchdowns. And John Lovett has been he it's weird. Vegas running backs haven't been doing great, but John Lovett has started to be very valuable. I mean, 100 total yards because of all the receiving yards he's been getting. And those are both McClendon and Lovett, both former Baylor Bears, by the way. And one of the coolest plays I saw was Vegas threw a screen pass.
Mm-hmm.
I forget who to, but the guy they have as the key player, Ajane Harris, as they were trying to tackle him, he just grabbed the ball, ripped it out, and just scored a touchdown off of it. Which there were actually I believe there are 2 fumble return touchdown. Well, I know there's at least 2 fumbles, but this one was way cool. I think they had 2 fumble recovery touchdowns in this game, if I remember correctly. But that one was just, the first one was kind of, the offense made a mistake. This one was like, wow, that's just a great play by the defense. But yeah, Brandon Silvers did not have the best day. You can see his stat line: 60 to 27, only 105 yards and 2 interceptions, with both went to Keelan Kennedy.
And you know me and my rule of thumb for quarterbacks with 10 yards of completion. That's like that was like barely He got over 6 yards of completion though. At least it was close,
Barely. But
barely.
yeah, this was mostly, I think they did have 2 defensive touchdowns, and that's really what drove this. But there's 2 things I wanted to point out. The first one was
Hmm.
at the very end of the game, Jalen McClendon threw a pass to a receiver in the end zone. Receiver couldn't quite come down with it. Now, it wasn't a super easy catch to make,
Hmm.
but it was like, and the guy was the guy had people closing in on his left and right. Even if he caught it, there's no guarantee he would hold on to it because he would have got lit up right away.
Hmm.
But he didn't end up grabbing it. But that's the interesting thing is, yeah, it wasn't a perfect throw, but it was a pretty good throw. Almost could have tied it, gone into OT, or maybe they go and try to end it in regulation. But it was a pretty good game overall. It's fun to watch. Houston offense was not very good, but they did put some good drives together in the fourth. And the other thing I wanted to point out is look at the score. We don't usually see scores like this. They're pretty common in the NCAA or the NFL, but with the XFL and their extra point rule, you usually don't see a score like this, 21-28. I think that was funny.
Yes, exactly. Because I was thinking that same thing. It was a odd way to get to 28-21, especially when you look at the touchdowns and the conversions and things like that. You are correct that there were 2 um, fumble recovery touchdowns, both by Houston. So you take out that 12 point, and I mean, it really was a horrendous day for the Houston offense. Really, offensively scored. Let's see, what about? It looks like let's see, offensively, and they were back to back. It was the first 12 points. So basically, they scored. Let's see, it looks like 15 points on offense. So maybe it's 6. Looks like it's 16, but either way, I can't do the math. No, it was a 1 point conversion. So yeah, they scored 15 points on offense. That's how bad it was, and then they took the defense to help them.
Yeah,
So
the defense did a lot of the heavy lifting here, but
let's see. Daisy is asking a question: does the Vegas team play in the Raider Stadium or UNLV? It's Cashman Field. It's
yes, which is
12,500 open capacity. So,
it's actually a MLS stadium.
oh, a
It's
soccer
made for
stadium.
soccer. So it used to be a baseball field, and they renovated it to make it for soccer. But now they play football on it.
Oh,
So
wow. Okay.
it's a little odd, and the field quality early in the season was not great. But I think they fixed it a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I know other games I've watched were not nearly as bad, but
Well, Aldi Stadium, not Aldi like the grocery store, but Audi Stadium, the car is that looks like in Washington, it looks like it's a soccer field too.
I think it might. But
It looks like it, but I would not be surprised with these games because you would not expect them in NFL type stadiums. Although, like in your case, though, in St. Louis, they are playing in a big stadium like that.
yeah,
And
I think a lot of things are so. One small difference is like the Las Vegas, because the Audi Field is for soccer, but that's for a MLS, which do tend to be a little better. The Las Vegas one is for USL Championship, which is like the second
ooh,
division for the for
I gotcha.
so it's a little different in that way. Excuse me, but yeah, St. Louis has the big dome partly because hey,
Wow.
no one else is using it. I think I know what's the San Antonio one for?
Is that the Alamo Dome?
Yeah, Alamo Dome. I don't know what they
The
actually
only
use
thing
it
I
for.
know about there is the bowl game every year, the Alamo Bowl that they play
But yeah, I think
there.
that's the only other one that's in like a really big stadium. Yeah, we got the
Yeah.
2 soccer stadiums. What is the oops, hit the mic, sorry. I remember what this one's called. TDECU. This is where this one was played.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Houston plays at TDECU Stadium, which is where Houston plays, like the college.
Okay.
So that one is still a made for football stadium, but maybe a little smaller.
Yeah.
I don't know where Orlando plays. I don't know where.
Uh, Orlando probably plays at Tinker Field or they Camping World Stadium. No, I've seen the signs. They actually have played at Camping World Stadium, which is a big stadium that which makes it even more abandoned when you look at the attendance at the game.
Yeah.
So
So they got some good stadiums. I think they went Seattle, I think, plays in the MLS stadium as well, which uh sorry, I'm Googling as I go, so sometimes
yeah,
it's hard.
it's okay.
Lumen Field. Or is that the actual No, that's they play in Seattle's stadium, which is pretty.
Mm,
So yeah, there's
wow.
a lot of actually a lot of pro stadiums.
Yeah,
Um,
that's excellent. That's interesting. It's
yeah, I was
interesting how
surprised.
they do it. I mean, I tell you what really makes a difference. The stadium though is like I've had the TV on with some of those St. Louis Battleheart games, and man, that place is loud.
Oh yeah,
It really is a loud place to play. So
it got a little quiet last week, but that's neither here nor there. We'll get to that.
well, we'll get into that a little bit, but yeah, it was interesting to see Vegas having. I mean, they had a good lead on the game, and then like all the points though really was scored in the second half. Houston outscored Vegas 22-9 in the second half and to win this
Mhm.
game going away. But like you said, Brandon Silvers, 2 more picks, very pathetic yards per completion. And Jalen McClendon, though, I mean, you talked about him a few weeks ago, and it's a bright spot for this team. Imagine maybe if they had him earlier in the season.
Yeah,
He's
and
really turned their offense around.
and he's looked pretty good recently. Because I know first week when I didn't watch that game, but I watched the highlights, and he said, well, he made some mistakes and got kind of lucky. And the week against us, I was very frustrated because I'm like, well, he's being very predictable and we still can't stop him. But this week, the whole time you're watching him, he's making a lot of
Mm-hmm.
good plays. He's
Yep.
very he's sneakily deceptive. He's not particularly fast because he's a big guy, but he's not. He makes a lot of people miss, and he was making some pretty good throws overall. Um, so
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
he looks a lot better, I can imagine. I don't know how 2024 is going to work. I'm waiting because I think they're sending out season ticket renewals, and I want to renew, but I want to make sure that they also don't screw up anything. They announce
Make
something
sure
really really dumb. I'm like, well, I don't want to pay for
they'll make sure
that.
they're around too. So
Yeah, that too.
exactly.
But I
Really,
also
there weren't many punts in this game though. There were only 4 punts between the two teams.
no, there were I think at least 2 turnovers for
Yeah.
Vegas and 2 turnovers for Houston. So
Mm-hmm.
the ball. I guess for the interceptions, you can call it an arm punt, uh,
Yeah. Exactly.
which is a very special art in the arm punt.
Yep. Well, and Houston actually has sacked McClendon 4 times.
Yeah,
Vegas had no sacks though. I mean, you would think that Vegas may have had more sacks considering Brandon Silver's very low yards per catch and the 2 picks, but they really
no,
didn't get to him very much.
it's surprising with Vegas. I don't know how their offensive line has performed overall, but I know Houston has like 2 of the top 3 sack getters in the league. They've been very good at getting to the quarterback all year, so not too surprising there. Pretty much anywhere they play, they make it hard. They hurt our starting QB the last week he played there, so
Not good, not good.
not good.
What?
But
Although you won that game, you just
we
didn't.
did win that game at
Yeah.
least.
So that was a dramatic win. All right. Well, and so that's anything else, Mitchell, on this one you want to cover, or?
Nope, that's all I got on this one.
I mean, I agree with the points you talked. It was really a fun way to get 28-27. It wasn't just 4 touchdowns and 4 conversions and 3 touchdowns. It was a really convoluted way to get there. And kind of cool looking at the box score. Vegas, you see 6-6-0-9 by quarter. Houston, you see 0-6-13-9 by quarter. It's kind of
Very
funny.
interesting.
This is where I tell people sports can be geek or nerd, whatever, whichever is applicable apply. Because when you go hog wild crazy on all the numbers, you can really weird out with the numbers. Statistics are fun. So
Yeah, I agree 100%.
absolutely. Absolutely. All
All
righty.
right. So let's get to the next game. Now, this game was pretty
Wow.
interesting as well. Kind of weird, but interesting.
Mhm.
23-25 in favor of the Brahmas, keeping their playoff hopes alive. Maybe what they get to see. They don't control their own destiny. They need help from other people. But
Well, the
uh,
one thing I had heard about this game was you see that the Brahmas, it's their third win of the season, but it's the first win that they had at home in front of their home stadium fans.
oh yeah, no, that was a big thing that they talked about, which I was kind of surprised about. I guess when you only have
Hmm.
3 wins on the season, it's not too crazy to think that you might have a hard time winning at home.
Oh my
But
gosh. You know what's scary in this game? I'm
what
looking
is it?
at the box score and I see a name that, oh my God, I hadn't seen in years from Florida State. DeAndre
Oh yeah,
Francois.
yep.
Yes.
So he came in. That was part of this game. Quinn and Dormady got hurt in the second half, and then left the game, but then came back and just didn't play great. And they ended up going to DeAndre Francois, who made a pretty big play, but then got hurt on that play as well.
Okay, then that explains what happens because watching that clip that you sent me
Mm-hmm.
was, and it's like, I'm just trying to see if I can get verify something. It was interesting to watch that clip that you sent because they put um, Dormady back in the game, right, for that play, and that's why I wish I. Let's see.
Which one did I send you? I
You
forget.
sent the recap and you sent it through Twitter. If you can pull that one up
Oh,
towards
okay.
towards the end of it, it's right on that extra point conversion because I wanted to.
Oh, the extra point conversion. I
Yeah,
didn't
if you can find that, pull that up, then we'll talk about that little clip right there. Then, but while you're doing that, we've got 10 people with us tonight, folks. Thank y'all. Make sure you follow us on Twitch and smash that like button, and subscribe here on the channel. We've got 2 more subs today. Thank you everybody that's coming and helping us grow, and better even than that, thank you for all the people that come by and spend some time, whether you lurk, hang out, talk football with us. If you have any questions, fine, sure, we'll take them. We'll do our best we can. Like Daisy's question about where the Vegas team plays. Snortopoopas is bouncing a soccer ball in his snoot. You know,
it.
hey, we're all here to have fun, and that's kind of cool. And we learned that Stunning's drawing Hot Blonde tomorrow. So, hey, just sit back, have some fun with us, and listen. I'm think we're and I know Woopah is. We're all thankful for your support and being here. So, and y'all get to witness Woopah's great graphics. I tell you.
Oh,
So,
well, thank you.
absolutely first class. Did started with the basketball and now this. So, were you able to find the clip?
Yeah. So there's 2 clips. The one that I specific, if you don't mind me showing both of them,
Yeah, go ahead.
because the one was just what I spent
I'll
specifically
go ahead and
highlighted
edit.
to you.
You ready for me to add a stream?
Yeah, I think I've got it full screen and I got the audio off.
Okay.
Or I think, should I have the audio off or on?
Just take it off. I don't think we're going to be able to hear it anyway. So because
Okay.
I've got to work on in audio. But oh yes, this play,
So I just thought this was really cool when I watched it.
and look at where they're at their own 26-yard line.
Well, look at the throw. I mean, that's a
What is with this
40-yard
league?
throw
What
by
is
a
with this league
punter.
and the punters? The punters are better than the quarterbacks.
Yeah,
And all these fake punts. That's probably the 5th or 6th fake punt I've seen this year.
they've been making. I know the least 2. And that one was just. And first of all, Katie Cannon, with the play, which was another former
Yeah.
Baylor Bear. Boom.
Yay! There you go.
But it was just so fun. Like, I'm watching this game. Like, he threw a bomb. Like, it wasn't the best pass ever, but That was a 40-yard,
Mm-hmm.
40-yard pass that had a lot of arc. Like he got that up there.
That's crazy.
Even last week with St. Louis's fake punt, he did his best, but it was kind of, he threw it out there where it needed to be. It was kind of a
Mm-hmm.
lame duck, but
Hey,
it got the job done. This was a bomb out there.
yes, exactly. And right a little bit before that, yeah, go back
Before
towards
this,
the end.
or
No. Go
oh,
towards the end. Go towards the end. Find that last touchdown right there, right there. Okay, go right there.
oh, do you
Okay,
want to see the
that's the
touchdown or
touchdown
just
play. Yeah, well, you can show the touchdown play right here if you want to.
okay?
This is the play at the for the. Okay, we can go from there. Let's go from there. We can,
Okay,
yeah. So
these are the highlights. It should switch. Yeah. So this was the
yeah.
big play. I
Ugh.
I guess with the sound off, it doesn't look as crazy, but
Mm-hmm.
Francois got lit up on that. He got hit hard. You could hear it on the
And he's not very
broadcast.
tall either. He's very short.
No, and they showed him on the sideline when he came back out. They were putting a lot of extra padding on him, so I'm guessing he got banged up pretty well.
Yeah. All right. And
Uh,
then what we'll do, you just play from here, or you just go ahead and play it from here so we don't miss it. But stop it. Oh, ow. Ooch, ow. Go ahead and stop it right there. Okay. I sound like ESPN. Stop it. Or Dick Vento, stop it. Or Madden, stop it. But listen, folks, we got video now. Hey, we're progressing. We don't care about whatever anybody says, but it's XFL, so maybe we'll take a few liberties. And okay. So what I want you to do is look here and see if you see what I see on this play. This is the 2-point conversion. You notice we'll take a moment here about the rules. If you look at the dark green line at the 2-yard line, that's the 1-point line because they play a play from scrimmage, either run or pass it, cross the goal line, you get the conversion instead of kicking the extra points. From the 5-yard line where they are now, it's a 2-point conversion. So they're going for 2 here to tie it because it's with only about 3 minutes left in the game. And really, there's no difference between 1 and 2 at that late of a game because a field goal is still what you need.
Well, yeah, they were. This was 23-25, so it was kind of
exactly.
You need to tie it, and
yep.
Well, I'll let you finish.
And then the 10-yard line is the 3-point line. So they could have tried the 10-yard line to get a tie, but they chose to try to tie it here so that they could get overtime if they don't get a field goal. Okay, but if you watch the play, watch the receiver down to the left to the near sideline. Watch the route he runs, watch the throw, and watch the wide receiver's reaction. Okay? Okay, go ahead and play it now. Are you there, Woopah?
Yeah, I'm back now. Sorry, I had to.
It happens. It's okay. It's all good. Okay. So when you're ready to play it, just go ahead and play it, and we'll see. Watch the receiver on the near side and see how it goes. Okay. Man in motion. There. Did you see it? The wide receiver, you can go ahead and pass. You see the wide receiver, and if you can go back, you can take a look at it again. But you see the receiver, if you want to, that's fine. But you see the receiver throw his hands up like really quick. He was still in the pass route because the Dormady just flung the ball like a fade route. He was doing a slant or an inside route. They were not even close to the same page.
Yeah, there was. I don't know if that's because he wasn't in and they kind of rushed him out or what, but it was just there was no one around there. And there's been a couple of those plays. Not it seems like about once weekly because I think there was one in that Houston game. Brandon Silvers threw it, and it was funny because I think I remember the throw going, and I'm like, oh, that's a nice throw. And then they pan over. I'm like, oh, there's no one there, and they just got intercepted. Yep. I was like, it looked beautiful, but it was to no one. I guess something happened.
Absolutely. Hey, but it's always okay. Let's see some. And welcome to Bucky's Crafting. Hey, Bucky's Crafting. Rookie move. Yeah. But you know what? Hey, you said this throwing out words that sound interesting. You understand, but that really was a good point. Um, it was kind of like a rookie move, throwing your hands up like that, like boo. It's just I've never seen that. I've not seen it that bad, or it's been a long time.
Yeah, that was
It's
one thing that made me just wonder because that was it wasn't quite as bad as I paid a lot of attention to this because I have Kenny Pickett in fantasy,
mhm.
but there was one of the what's his name? One of the Pittsburgh wide receivers when Mitch Trubisky he just threw a pass away while the guy was wide open and he got, he was on the field. Just you could tell he was ticked off. And that's not a good sign just because a lot of players in all sports, you get something happens, you get angry, and you can
Yeah.
usually tell. But there's a one thing between like a guy who looks upset or dejected or just kind of his face
Hmm.
looks like he's angry, and it's another thing to have a guy like on that play waving his arms. Like
Yeah.
when you see that, that's usually when there's some problems afoot, and
Yeah.
they are still. It uh, makes me wonder how that quarterback system is going to go.
Oh, hey, Bucky's Crafting's right. I mean, if nothing else, pretend like you know what's going on. Fake it till you make it, baby. You are definitely not a rookie. And you're not just, you are on fire tonight, Bucky's Crafting. Great to see you, my friend. And hey to the great and glorious Mrs. Dadman Walking, as always. And Stunning says hello to you. Sort of Poopa says hi to Bucky. And Stunning says it's pizza time. All right.
Pizza time.
And with that, we've got 10 people watching. Hey, folks, thank y'all for being here and supporting us. And just make sure you smash that like button. As I say that, I remember this now finally, because I usually remember this thing way late in the broadcast. So there you go. So hey, follow on Twitch and like and subscribe here on YouTube. But hey, oh man, so
I reshared the slideshow, by the way.
Okay. This game was really kind of cool to watch. When you watch all those games, those highlights towards the end, was really really cool. And they scored eight. Orlando scored 8-6-0-9 for 23 points, and San Antonio 0-10-9-6 in the fourth quarter. It was interesting to see how this game, is close throughout, and it was a battle of was a 1-7 and a 2-6 team. And it was a pretty good matchup. It's probably one of the better games. Thank you, Mrs. for lurking. We appreciate it. But it's one of the really a good. It was actually one of those games that really looked like it was pretty good. Sometimes you have close games that really are bummers. They just happen to be luckily like 6-9 and stuff like that. But this really was a good game back and forth. So.
Yeah, it was pretty good. A lot of it came down to first of all, they started Jack Cohn at quarterback for the Brahmas, and he finally had another big day, 25 for 31 and top 300 yards. So that was good for him. Both the running games were great. Jacques Patrick, 80
Oh my
80
God,
yards on
Bucky.
20 carries plus 5.
Bucky's. I had a feeling somebody was going to say that, but you beat Stunning to that. Bucky's Crafting. Thank you.
Oh, Bucky.
Yeah. Jack Cohn, 25 of 31. That is ridiculously good. And he threw for over 10 yards of completion, too.
Yeah. It was very good, especially considering, I mean, he hasn't been great all year. And now here he comes with another great performance. And Jacques Patrick, he had a great game as well. 25 total touches for 130 yards. And the fun thing is this fumble that he had. So he had the ball and I guess just didn't cover under him because some guy just hit and the ball. And I always think this is kind of funny, except when it happens to my team, which we'll get to. But yeah, someone just hits it and, what was like a 20-yard gain, this ball just shoots up in the air and Orlando guy grabs it. So
Yeah, it was a very
Devin
interesting
Darrington has been really good since he kind of took over the starting running back duties. He's been very good,
Yeah, he
but I
ran
think
for 133 yards. I mean, and this league is it's like they finally are starting to play better football as the season goes on. We didn't have a lot of 100-yard rushers this season, and it was very interesting to see. Like in the last few weeks, we started seeing those 100, except for DC, of course. But the other teams are starting to have some running backs really develop, and you wonder where it was all season.
yeah, but you've got. I think the biggest thing in here, the difference was passing. Obviously, Jack Cohn did great. But that Mac Brown, the punter, with his 69 passing yards there, you can go ahead and laugh, Bucky. But that led the team in passing yards. That was the most, which is
Yep.
not good. But he did good on punting as well. 45.5 average, not too shabby. But yeah, the passing game wasn't great. Drew Beasley, defensive end, got a pick six on a Quinn Dormady throw. And he was dominant all game. I think he's one of the older players on the team or in the XFL overall. But so yeah, it was very good back and forth football, a lot of interesting plays and a lot of big runs. I think a lot of that Devin Darrington really broke off a few. But
This really was a surprise game, honestly, because you expected with such bad records, and the Brahmas have been so bad offensively all season. You just expected nothing out of this game, and it really turned out to be a good game and a barn burner to the very end. It was very interesting to see it, I would say.
mm-hmm. Yeah, speaking of more surprises, if you're done with this game,
yeah, I do. Well, the only thing I was going to say here, what's strange though, is about these two teams. For a score that was this close, San Antonio has been outscored by its opponents by only 13 points this season total. Orlando's been outscored by their opponents a league leading 81 points.
Ooh.
That's how bad their defense has been over this time, and it's just almost giving up almost 30 points a game while averaging under 20 points a game. You can see why they're 1-8, but it was just interesting to see a game that's this close, considering that Orlando really had been outscored by everybody this season by a wide margin, really. The next most points given up has been by the Vegas Vipers at 224, about 53 points less than Orlando. So that's quite a bit. That's quite a differential. So,
yeah, it was. Orlando hasn't been great all year for sure,
but they've had some games. That's what's so sad with them, is they've had some games that they could have been close. It's like there's some games when the offense produces, the defense doesn't. And I know there's at least been 1 or 2 games. I think the game against Arlington, they had great defense. They just didn't have enough offense. So
yeah, a lot of it comes down to once they made the quarterback change to Dormady and made the running back change to Darrington, their offense just took a lot more. It's really, and even though they're still 1-8, their last 4 games have been pretty close, even when they're losing usually. But just the first 6 games, they looked pretty lost. They were not doing great. I think the first 5 games, at least. And the 6th game was the one that they played Vegas and actually looked pretty good, but.
Oh, gotta go with this one. I love. See, this is what we have fun with you guys. Gotta be real, Bucky Scratching says. I don't think Orlando has done anything great since Pirates of the Caribbean. Oh my gosh, that is too funny. That's a good one. That's a good Orlando joke.
All right. Well, yeah, let's move to this game. This was another surprise, and I forgot to mark this went to overtime. This was an overtime game. So we didn't have one for the first 7 weeks, and now in the last 2 weeks, we've had 3.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'll let you go ahead and talk about it, because it's a very interesting observation of how this game. I did see most of this game. I had it on the background. I had some interesting observations, but you go ahead and preview the stats. So first,
Yeah, so you might have seen more than you probably did see more of this than me, just because
yeah, because you had
I
a
was
game after, yeah.
I was hanging out with a friend and trying to get ready for the Battlehawks game that came on after this, so I only caught some that was in the bar. But Luis Perez taking over at quarterback for Arlington in his second game for Arlington really just played much better. Kind of, I guess, what Arlington was hoping for when they traded for him. 31 of 41, 335 passing yards, which I think might be the highest yet this league, maybe second highest. But
Mm-hmm.
it's very good performance with the passing touchdown as well. And he this offense came back because I remember when I checked, I think in the third quarter they were only had 9 points, and turns out they played back and got to 26. So they did pretty well overall.
Yep.
And Devian Smith with the 2 rushing touchdowns, and DC had the dual. Now you were watching the game. Was this because of were they alternating players out, or did they bench someone, or was this just at the was it at the time because DC had such a lead that they were just playing the backup
No,
quarterback?
it was in the flow of the game because actually King actually did well on the first drive he came in, and I think DC has done that all year. DC has played both quarterbacks. It was kind of odd because I think it was. I'm pulling up the game cast again because I think he did not show up till the late in the second quarter. Oh, wait a second. Hold on a second. Let me see real quick. Snortopoopas has got to go. Oh, well, thank you for coming by, Snortopoopas, and being here earlier. Yeah, it's time the old bear to snooze down. It's been a long day. Take care. Absolutely, sir. You have a good evening. And if you happen to wake up sometime and go to get a milk or cookie or something, join us back tonight at 11 o'clock. We're going to have some really fun Fortnite After Dark later. But hey, great to have you as always here, my friend. And we'll talk more about that later. But this really, it's one of those things where they just did what they always did. They rotated the quarterbacks in, and it was not until the very late part of the second quarter. And Derek King looked good with it. I mean, he looked good, and he threw a touchdown pass on the first possession, which gave them a 20-9 lead. As I said, they've been playing a lot. I didn't think he was going to play because they were staying with Tamu throughout, and there really would. And this is part of the problem. The starting quarterback was hot. Tamu was really, really hot. And why do you keep pulling your quarterback? Why do you switch like that?
Yeah, that's why I
And
was
yeah,
wondering if it's just because DC, if they won this game, then they clinch home field. I was wondering if it was something to do with they're
no,
thinking, oh, we've got it in the bag.
no,
Let's
no. It was not that. It really was not that. And then on top of it, they made the first score in the second half in the third quarter with a 62-yard interception return, which gave them a 26-9 lead. Which you're thinking, okay, as Dandy Don Meredith said, turn out like the party's over. But it's like the second half offensively, DC just went in the toilet. They stopped moving the ball, and they still had Tamu in, and it's that happens in so many games where it's a tell of two halves, and Arlington was able to get enough of a rally to come back and kick the field goal to tie it to force overtime. So it was not benching your starters by any means. It just looked like it was two different games, and when Arlington finally started scoring touchdowns, it allowed them to pull back into the game.
And that's the thing, scoring these touchdowns. This is not 3 offensive touchdowns for the Renegades. I think the Renegades were averaging, before Luis Perez came in, they were averaging 1 offensive touchdown a game,
Yep.
which is pretty bad.
Yep. It really. Yeah, we want more
Oh
hot
gosh.
quarterbacks. Give me more reasons to watch sports. Hey, I am for you, and you come over here and we'll talk sports all you can. I know the missus, one of the football shows I did with her, she said she went with some before we got married, some friends, and she took their binoculars from them to watch the guys in the huddles. So it's okay. Hey, if she'll watch sports with me, she can look at anybody she wants to. So hey, I'm good with that. But yeah, it really it was bizarre to watch this game because DC was so hot in the first half, and you've seen this before. So many games at all levels. One team runs away in the first half, cannot be stopped. San Diego, Jacksonville in the playoffs.
Oh yeah,
San Diego, big lead, second half got away, and that's kind of what happened in this game. Is DC just couldn't move the ball and couldn't score, and give them credit, give Arlington credit, and I believe they converted. Yeah, remember that? Oh, see, we talked about the 2-point conversion rule, the touchdown conversion rules, the 1, 2, and 3-point line. This was another game with another rule that's unique. Instead of in college and NFL, where to try to get the ball back, you have to do an onside kick where it goes 10 yards. You have to recover the ball. Arlington had a 4th and 15, and they converted it. They got the first down. Well, what the basic play is, you're given one play to get 15 yards. If you get it, then you keep the ball like you recovered an onside kick, and you can keep moving. If you don't convert it, then the other team gets the ball at the spot. So that was interesting. That happened in this game, though, Woopah, there. That's why that Arlington was able to kick that tying field goal. So,
okay.
Yeah, exactly. And I like to see Josh Hammond for DC. He caught a touchdown in the game, and he also caught the what turned out to be the game-winning 2-point conversion. A former Florida Gator, by the way. So, shout out. So, which is interesting. You talk about Florida. Bob Stoops is the head coach for Arlington, and he's a former Florida Gator defensive coordinator. So, alrighty. Sorry for that college. All track.
No problem.
Yeah.
I've been talking about my Baylor Bears every time they come up, so I don't blame you.
Hey, there you go.
But yeah, so this
this
DC,
really was a good game to watch. This the other was fun to watch, the 28-25, but this was the best game of all of them because of the rally at the end and the forced overtime. And it seems like we're having more games that are better quality games now. Unfortunately, at the very end of the season, just when these teams are starting to gel, when they're starting to do stuff. So,
yeah, it's a shame, but
I'm
happy. I'm just happy that we're getting fun stuff at all. So,
yeah, exactly.
But
Bucky's. When the missus is not lurking, and maybe she's going to start a stream at some point, but I don't know. Maybe I'll do one time. Maybe we'll have to talk homeschooling. We homeschooled both. Well, she homeschooled both of our kids all the way through, from kindergarten all the way through, and we got one now, grad school and doctorate school in the University of Georgia too. So, and our other is a great streamer who built an empire on their own. So, Bucky, prom was lonely, but yeah, it's but yeah, top of your class, you were the valedictorian. That's what we told both of our kids.
Hey, what was it? I went to a public school and my prom was lonely too, so it's all good.
There you go. Yeah. Hey, what was bad was I was the stud of our group. That's how bad it was. I actually had a female date for the junior prom.
Ooh.
Yeah, the senior prom, it became a couple of us went, and we went and got together and played Axis and Allies overnight. So it was a little oof. Yes,
I had 2 dates for homecoming. Well, 3 if you count. Me and my friend we were the only 2 of our friend group of 10 who couldn't find a date, so we just went with everyone else as a date. Me and him.
Yeah. Hey, you do what you gotta do. Let's go to hang out and have fun with everybody too.
Yeah. And unlike prom, because prom was like $100 to get in. Homecoming was like 15, 20. So it was fun to just go and hang out.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Hey, the one thing, and I just looked at the stats with this game again too. What was really interesting is this DC team again is becoming a passing team. The commentators comment about how they're passing. Now, I know they ended up two quarterbacks combined for 264 yards on 20 of 29, so basically 67% of the pass completions. They only ran for 50 yards. That is what is so interesting with this team, that they were watching them become something different. Whereas early in the season, we were joking and we were mocking them about how much they ran. I watching this game, Tamu and King were on fire throwing that ball in the first half, especially. I mean, it's just interesting to see how a team changes. And Luis Perez, I mean, if Luis Perez can throw 31 times for 330 yards, and they can run for 113 yards, Renegades might. We'll see what happens in the playoff. I'll hold my comments for playoff, but if they might be able to do something at least for the first round in the playoffs. But we'll talk more about that a little bit later.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing is, so Jordan Ta'amu last year led the USFL in passing yards. For the first half of this, he didn't look very good.
Yeah.
But he's played pretty well lately, especially passing the ball. So it's interesting to see what'll happen.
Yep.
DC also, despite being 8-1, they've had a lot of this game went to OT. Week 8, their game, they only won by 1 point. Week 7, they lost to the Guardians. The undefeated team losing to
Yep.
a previously winless team.
Yep.
Uh, they beat Houston pretty well in week 6, but that was a what was it? During the end of the game, Houston was really pushing the ball, and even versus St. Louis. I know this is a little earlier when in week 5 when Jordan Ta'amu wasn't passing as much, but they did kick our butt on the ground, regrettably.
Yeah.
But we totally shut down their pass game. So it's despite them all winning these games, and hey, at the end of the day, winning is what matters. But when they're able to pull away from a lot of these
Well,
teams,
this game was illustrative of that fact. They were outscored 17-0 in the fourth quarter, and if you and if you take away the one defensive touchdown in the third quarter, they were outscored in the second half 17-0 on offense. So this team really is showing signs of vulnerability right now after looking very dominant for much of the season. I mean, they're 8-1, but now we've seen the last few weeks with the loss against Orlando, bad showing late here. I mean, what team's we're going to see when the playoff happens? So, and this was a home game for them too. So,
and that's the thing. I think of what was it? Drawing a blank. Oh, you remember the Vikings in the NFL last year? They had a great record, but it was a lot of really close games.
Yeah.
They were winning all these close games, but then sometimes they got blown out, and people are wondering, well, what's going to happen? Which team is going to show up in the playoffs? And they actually didn't do too bad, but they still lost a close game, and that's all it takes. Well, one game playoff, loser goes home.
Exactly.
So,
yeah, I think the Giants took them out.
Yep.
I think that, and both Mark and I picked the Giants to win that game. We were like, yeah, because we just didn't feel confident in what we saw with Minnehaha, as the old saying used to go. Let me say hello to Bowsette. Hey, Bowsette, welcome. And Bucky feels lied to because Bucky thought at the end of the day, what matters is all we had fun about prom. But here's a comment. And Bucky, if you've not seen it yet, I've created a playlist on the YouTube side. I'm trying to do more of them, but I have a playlist with Axis and Allies. I did a show and tell with the classic from '84 and the anniversary game. Plus, also Rambling Canuck and I played a couple matches, and they are on the playlist too. So I think I might have to move our recent one there. But basically, if you want to see some Axis and Allies, if you're familiar with the game, watch my show and tell. Check out some of those videos; they were quite fun and interesting. So absolutely. So, but yeah, but there was a lot with this game, and it's just I tell you, they were so dominant in the first half, and you thought they were just going to go away, but then hey, you got to put people away that fourth quarter, and again, like I said, that 4th and 15 conversion. That keeps a lot of teams in the game now at the end where, because an onside kick is such a low probability. Yeah, and Daisy says Axis and Allies is an amazing game.
Yeah, it
Absolutely.
was a lot. It was a lot of fun to watch you talk about that and play the game.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's one that I may have to start doing as a solo sometime, uh, which against the computer. But I know I'll have to be the Axis to have any success because that computer and that one's OP on all of it. But hey,
Oh
hey,
yeah, there's.
it doesn't matter. It's always good hanging out with everybody, and y'all come by and watch and chat, and we can have fun with that. So hey, that's what we do.
Mhm.
All right. Well, are we? You got any other thoughts with this game?
No, like I said, this was the one that you watched more than I did.
Yeah.
So
It was a good game. It looked like a one side route, but then it ended up a very very good game. But you know what? The
Mhm.
problem with this one was the overtime, especially for Arlington to have worked so hard to get back. It was like one of those penalty kick shootouts in soccer, and I'll use soccer
Mhm.
for an analogy here. Is that when you have the penalty kick shootouts and the team keeps missing high or wide. It was like
Yeah.
Arlington could not hit a single conversion, while DC hit one, but that's all they
Mhm.
needed to win it.
Yeah.
So it's best two or three, and then there's other things, but we won't go into all those other things then for now. So
All right. So let's get to the last game of the
alrighty,
week. Maybe not one that was very fun. All these other close games, and then we got this one, which is not great to be at. But
oh, by the way, when I said Axis and Allies, I don't remember if I said, but Bucky's also said Axis and Allies sounds like a better time than prom, from what I heard.
I would
Uh,
probably agree.
yeah, I think a lot of people might
But
agree with that.
I can go to prom, but
Hey,
I think it's better that I save my money. So,
there you go. Save your money. They lie to you.
but this
So
was a
Whoopa,
rough. Oh, sorry.
so yeah, right. I was going to let you know. 30-12, the St. Louis Battlehawks go down. I saw some of the game at the end. I mean, I will say I was surprised at this result. But as a St. Louis fan, as somebody that was there, what do you? I mean, how was this to watch as a fan? Your team with a 6-2 record, ahead of the team coming in, that you win the game, you clinch a playoff berth. How was this game to watch and knowing what was on the line with it?
It was just frustrating because there's so much. This is a problem that's happened all year long, but we've mostly been winning, so I don't complain about
Mm-hmm.
it too much.
Yeah.
But
Hey,
the
Whoopa, by the
defense.
way, here's the chance for the big, wild, crazy Whoopa showing.
Oh, oh, you never
I,
know. You never
I know
know.
you never know. Hey, we might have the incredible Whoopa tonight. So, but yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead with
Yeah, I
your.
can put
So it
on
had
the.
been happening all year.
Uh, Here, I'll get my arms out. I'm angry. Uh,
Oh man. Oh.
but no, so our defense just doesn't know how to tackle.
Yeah.
And I get. I think a lot of people always say, well, what? You act like it's easy. You go and do it. I know I couldn't do it, but I also don't get paid to do it. They know I don't do it. These guys get paid to tackle, and they can't tackle worth shit. Like there were so many
All
plays.
right.
There was
We
a
got
play
Whoopa
where
cussing, folks. We got Whoopa cussing. It's coming out. No, go ahead, my friend.
but like there was a play. It was like a 3rd and 14 or a 3rd and 16. We had him back, and they made a pass. The guy was open. I'm like, oh, that's kind of bad coverage, but he's short of the line. We've got 2 guys right next to him. Well, both those guys miss, and he gets past the first down. I'm like, oh, dang it, this sucks. But at least there's people people there that can bring him down. No, they all miss it. He takes it to the house. And it's like all you have to do is stay in front of him, and they did. Like it's not even
Yeah.
those blown coverage because if everything went right and they knew how to tackle, they would have stopped him short, and it would have been 4th down. They would have punted, but instead he takes it all the way, and it's like, what are you guys doing? And there were so many cases of that. And that's been something that's happening all year long. But most of the time, I don't get mad about it because we win. And it's like, oh, that's
Mm-hmm.
all good. This game, we didn't. And it's like, you guys, it's been a problem all year. And it's like, did you guys even, try to fix that? Did the coaching staff, try to address this problem? Or they're like, oh, it's fine. Because
Mm-hmm.
it just cost them. And it's very frustrating to see that It was very deflating. I think the only positive that I can say is that it kind of got to a blowout, not right away, but somewhat quickly. There's an amount of peace you can have with that, somewhat of just you don't get your hopes up because you're getting your butt kicked. But,
Well, you know what's funny is looking at the score is 14-9 at the half. That's still anybody's game, really.
oh yeah, the
You,
half was it was close at the half.
but what's so? But 3 points in the second half, you get outscored 16-3, lose by 18. It's like you don't even show up for a game where you could have clinched the playoff berth.
No,
You
it
know.
was very frustrating. Our offense wasn't great. I wonder if AJ McCarron was maybe still a little hurt, but even then, like, because he made some bad decisions, I'm not going to absolve him
Mm-hmm.
100%. But he had one interception where he threw a good pass, but the guy caught it, but then just didn't protect it enough, and person uh, bumped it up in the air, and it counted as an
Mm-hmm.
interception. I'm like, oh, can't blame him for that. And Marcel Aitman, 7 catches for 99 yards. So I can't blame him too much. It was his best game of the year, but he had a play. AJ McCarron was under a lot of pressure, and he did a great job of escaping and on the run through a pass. It wasn't a perfect pass; it was a little high, but still, I mean, Marcel Aitman's a big receiver, and he had no pressure on him. No one was near him whatsoever,
Yeah.
and he just missed the catch. And it's like, oh, come on, like. It's one thing. Some things you have to dive for, and I still get mad at that because I'm thinking, come on, you got to dive for it. But this wasn't that. He just had to, you know, he had to stretch out and make sure he caught it. And yeah, that would have been a touchdown right there. And it's just
Mm-hmm.
so even with McCarron not playing his best, when he did play his best, he didn't get a lot of help from a lot of people. There was some questionable play calling, I think.
Mm.
And Ja'Cour Pearson, he's the guy that burned us on that big run, or that big pass catch. But he did pretty good all game. Ben DiNucci, 21 for 31, 260 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, 7 carries, 38 rush yards, and 1 rush touchdown. Oh, that interception, that was the frustrating thing from Lucas Denis. And he had a great game. Got that interception, and then the next play was the play where McCarron hit an open receiver, and then the defender popped it out of the receiver's arm and went for an
Mm-hmm.
interception. And that was deflating because that went for a touchdown, and that was pretty much when the game got out of hand. And the frustrating thing about that, and this is another thing that ticked me off. I know I talked about it on the internet, but we were fourth and long in
Mm-hmm.
late in the fourth quarter. It was a long shot. I think we had 3 minutes left. So down by 2 scores, fourth and long. You pretty much know you're going to lose. But the coach sends out the punt team.
Wow.
And it's like, what are you doing? Like that
Isn't
was
this the same coach that went for like fourth down on his own 25 or 30-yard line early in the game a few weeks
he
ago?
so in a game we were up by like 3 scores. He went for it on the opposing 45. So it's like still in their territory, but just barely. And that didn't go well. And it's like, yeah, and then we're punting. It's like, is that a long shot? Yeah, but we had like 1 or 2 timeouts. I forget how many, but we didn't have all 3. We needed 2 scores. And it's like, and you're punting? Like, what do you expect? Like, that's when the dome started clearing up.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, what do you? What, that's just a forfeit right there when you're doing that. And sure, we were deep in our own territory, and it was fourth down. But if you punt,
But 2 scores down, 3 minutes
yeah,
left. Yeah.
well, it's like if you
And with
punt,
with that
and
overtime, and also with the kick rule. I mean, where you can go for 4th and 15, because St. Louis benefited from that in the first game against the Sea Dragons, because they converted. They got a score, and then they converted 4th and 15. That's 2 possessions right there.
yeah, and it was frustrating because if even when you're punting, it's like you're down by 2 scores. Even if you punt and get a stop, you're gonna have to use up all your timeouts, and then I don't think you're gonna have enough time to get down and score 2 touchdowns because we needed 2 touchdowns. So it's just, once you punt, you're basically saying, yeah, we're quitting this game, and quitting when you have the playoffs on the line. That's just ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
It was so frustrating to see. That was something.
Well, at least you had a good kicker this game.
Oh yeah, no, Donnie Hageman's had one
Yeah.
heck of a redemption arc because I think he started the year like 4 for 8 or something like that. He kept missing
But
a ton
nailed
of
a
field goals.
54-yard field goal in this game.
Yeah, he nailed a 54-yarder and he nailed another 40-something yarder. He was very good, and he's been good the last half of the season. He's really, I mean, week 2 he nailed a pretty deep field goal against Seattle. In week 2, he hit a record 59-yarder versus our last away game in Houston, I think. So he's been pretty good. I'm happy that he got himself together because he's been great for us. But yeah, no, it's very interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting to see what we're going to do with this because with how things are, we'll talk about it. This kind of makes it to where the ball is now in Seattle's court. Mm-hmm. Not because they won, but because of how badly they beat us specifically.
And Seattle sacked McCarron 4 times.
Yeah, and some of that was our offensive line did not do a great job. Some of that was, I mean, this is part of what A.J. McCarron is. He's not the most mobile quarterback, and I can't blame him. I can't blame him for that for the most part, but there were sometimes he just pretty much gave himself up, and it's like, oh, come on, you can't be, this is not a scenario where you can give yourself up. I'd rather the potential risk of a fumble that, but also the possibility of making a play than just going down, this far into our, pretty much killing a drive. But
absolutely,
it is what it is. It was a frustrating game.
They
just outclassed us, and the other games I've gotten mad because of penalties or whatnot. This was just everything was not great coaching decisions and just awful tackling. Our tackling cannot. If that's how we tackle, we're not going to do well in the playoffs versus DC, even if we make the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
That's all I got for this one. So I'm going to go
we
got
10 people watching us. Okay, go ahead while you change. And we got 10 people watching us. Thank you, everybody, for your support tonight. Smash that like button. Sub here on the YouTube side and follow us on Twitch if you're over on that side. Or if you have both, do it on both sides. We can always use the support. And sometimes we do stuff only on YouTube, and sometimes we'll only do stuff on Twitch. So it's good to follow us on both platforms. But more than anything else, thank you guys here, having 10 of y'all with us to watch sports ball, which a lot of times in this community, does not get the respect that it should, and some of it's earned. But we can make sports ball fun, and that's why we like answering questions, doing crazy stuff. Loving hearing your ideas about things, and if you have questions about football or whatever sport as we do it, feel free to shout out and feel free to, ask your questions. And we're among friends here. We love to help and we love to answer them. So, all right. So, Bucky says, I don't respect everything equally. There you go. Equal opportunity. Okay. All right. So,
all right.
Here's where we stand, folks.
Here are the standings, and this is where things can get frustrating as a Battlehawk or Seattle fan, whatever happens this week. But 6-3 would all be tied for the number 1 in the South. But instead, one of us are going to witness the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And technically speaking, Seattle, because of tiebreakers, St. Louis, if for whatever reason the Week 10 didn't get played, St. Louis would be in the playoffs right now. But
yeah,
we'll talk about that later. But DC and Houston, they had already both clinched a playoff spot, and now they've both clinched the home field advantage for sure. And
Yeah.
other than that, no one actually clinched the playoffs yet. In the others' positions, they're both still up for grabs, and we can talk about those situations as we go.
Yeah. So basically, okay. So DC, Houston have the top seeds.
Mm-hmm.
They guaranteed themselves home field advantage. So what we have is between the St. Louis Battlehawks and the Seattle Sea Dragons in the north, and then we have the Arlington Renegades and the San Antonio Brahmas in the south. 1 game difference, and then they're tied. So, Woopah, how does it come down? Let me take a couple of the comments real quick, and then talk to us about the playoff scenarios here. Bucky says, "I've decided my team is the worst one. That way, if people ask why I'm in a bad mood, I can just say it's because my team suck."
That's fair.
Well, hey, we love you here. I know a lot of people don't watch sports anymore for a lot of the things, and that's fine. But you know what? This is what I want. I want to hear with friends, hang out. We can make fun. You can listen to us ramble, and Bowsette says she's here because of me, and now you, Whoopa. So hey, yes, but thank you, my friend. Thank you for all that you do and for being here, Bowsette. So, Whoopa, we talked about who's still alive. We know who's eliminated. We know who's guaranteed. So, what are our playoff scenarios entering this week? What do they look like?
So, do you want me to talk about that first, or do you want me to talk about that after we review the games, like the upcoming games for this week?
Let's go ahead and talk playoff. Okay. I may have jumped the gun. Okay. Okay. Well, let's see. Let's do it after the games end. I forgot. I was thinking about doing it here, but let's do it let's preview the games, and then we can reference back to the games themselves without spoiling it. Okay.
All right.
Thanks for clarifying.
All right. So I thought about this. I forgot to update this is all week 10 previews, not week 9 previews. My bad.
Okay. It's all good.
But so this is one of the important games. I think every game is important. But so Guardians, the last place Guardians going into St. Louis to play, and looking at from everything I read. Now this is going to be interesting. It seems like Normandy is going to get the start with his stats. You can see 1,319 passing yards in 6 games, 67.4% completion. He got 8 passing touchdowns and 4 rushing touchdowns, but also 5 interceptions and 5 fumbles.
Yeah, that's why. I mean, he single-handedly gave that game to Arlington a few weeks ago, just between the picks and the just bad fumbles. So.
He had one. He had I think a 4 or 5 turnover game, and he's also had a 6 touchdown game. So he's kind of a boomer bust candidate.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Devin Darrington, 61 carries, 294 yards, 4 number 2 receiver in the league, 47 catches on 61 targets for 558 yards and a touchdown. So that's kind of their big thing is their offense. Their defense not going to do too much, honestly.
Yeah, Orlando has, like I said earlier, their 81-point differential without opponents outscore them. They've scored 176 points in 9 games, which is just under 20 points a game, while giving up 257, which is just short of 30 points per game. So you can see that they're really a bad defense, and really the games go based on how their offense goes, how many points they can generate.
Mm-hmm. Then we've got AJ McCarron here with 8 games played, did miss the 1 game, but 1,730 passing yards, 67.3% completion, 18 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and 4 fumbles. With 18 passing touchdowns, does lead the league still. So even despite missing 1 game, Brian Hill, he's going to be interesting. He's been a little bit more quiet lately, but even then, his career numbers, he's still the number 2 rusher with 416 yards on 88 carries, which is a very good clip, while also 24 catches on 29 targets for 204 receiving yards. So he's been very useful for the team. I also put in Willie Harvey here because he's been doing pretty well. But really, despite the Battlehawks can be very frustrating, but they've got some good pieces on defense, especially the guys in the kind of the front seven. It's kind of the secondary that can be hit or miss. But so this is going to be interesting. This is not necessarily a must-win for the Battlehawks. Honestly, in pretty much any scenario that happens, the Battlehawks can lose this game and they'll be fine. But we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
But this is happening 12 p.m. tomorrow, 11 a.m. my time. So I'm going to wake up early to get to this dang game. But yeah, I think that the Battlehawks should win this. I don't know if they will. I'm kind of worried with how their defense is played, but I think that their offense should be ready. And I'm hoping they come back from this loss and come back better than ever. They haven't lost back-to-back games yet, so
no, that is interesting to see.
But, yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Bucky saying move over here living in the past. Well, you got to live in the past sometimes. That's the only way you can stay positive about the future. Oh, that's too funny.
I'm picking the Battlehawks in this game. I don't know if you have anything to add or anything to pick.
You would hope that they would not lose 2 games in a row, especially with the playoffs on the line. Because I remember when we talked a couple weeks ago, it looked like St. Louis had an easy path and things were going to be good. And then all of a sudden, lose that game last week, and now you're on the outside looking in, But
we don't really own our own destiny.
Yeah, the Battlehawks should take this one, though, I would think.
Yep. I hope so. We'll see. But let's get to the next one. And this is DC Defenders versus the San Antonio Brahmas in San Antonio. Now, this is a must-win for the Brahmas. They need to win this one so they can get to that 4th win, which is very important. Meanwhile, DC, they don't need to win this. Like I said, I don't know who's going to start at QB. I assume – now, I've tried to look for news on this before. It can be hard to find for the XFL because it's a spring league. It doesn't have the same coverage quite yet. But I assume Jordan Ta'amu is not going to play in this game. He's been playing very well lately, so it's not like he needs a tune-up. Might as well get him a little bit of a 1 week rest before the playoffs. I assume it's going to be De'Aaron King who's playing in this one. Which he's played in all 9 games, but you wouldn't necessarily tell it from his stats, 151 passing yards, 101 rushing yards, but does have 9 total touchdowns. I imagine he's going to play, though they did just sign a quarterback not too long ago. Him taking over the offense on less than a week of practice would be pretty rough, but again, if you're DC, you don't particularly care. You're already in. Nothing you can do will affect you too much. I also assume Raquel Armstead here is going to play. They do have number 1 leading XFL rusher by a lot, Abram Smith. But I assume, again, he's had a large workload. I think they'll want to rest him. Play Raquel Armstead, who's been pretty good in his own right as well, 217 yards on 63 carries. And kind of give him some reps, get him warmed up, because then you get Abram Smith rested, and also hopefully you can have a 2-headed running attack. And DJ Swearinger, who had that pick 6 last week, he's only played 2 games, so I bet he's going to be playing this game and probably going to get a lot of work in since, unlike the other guys who have played all year and are probably need a break, Swearinger probably needs to stay fresh and get that workload going up. But on the other side, the Brahmas, with Jack Cohn, 7 games played, doesn't have the prettiest looking stats, 1,159 yards, 60.2% completion, 6 touchdowns to 6 interceptions and 4 fumbles is a pretty rough stat line. And that's kind of what I put on the side is he's had one of his best games last week. But look, he's played 7 games, and I think with the exception of one, he's played all of those games. And he had 300 passing yards last week, which so subtract 300 from what he has now overall, and I think that's 859 passing yards for the other 6 games. That's pretty rough. So it'll be interesting to see if he can stick around. I think Jock Patrick's been invaluable to this team. 402 rushing yards and 201 receiving yards, 4 total rushing touchdowns. He's been a big part of this team, especially with them not having a true wide receiver. And of course, XFL leading tackler by I think almost 20 tackles. Jordan Williams, 35 solo, 47 assisted tackles, 12 tackles for loss, and a fumble return touchdown. I think this is going to be interesting. I will say I think I'm going to pick the DC Defenders because I think they've still got a pretty good B team. But I could definitely see the Brahmas winning this one. I think they're going to keep it close. I guess it depends on what offense we see come out this week. But I think if DC starts resting some players, which would make sense for them, this one's going to be close.
Yeah. The only problem with this game being close is just the Brahmas and the lack of offensive capability, that type of thing. With them, they are really not consistent on offense. I mean, worse than some of the others. And it just really, really, this is a game that DC should handle going away very quickly, very easily. But there's no telling. I mean, like you said, there could be the off the field stuff. There could be the player decisions and stuff like that. So it's, that type of stuff. So this really should be an easy game for the DC, though. I really, really think San Antonio got its first win in front of the home crowds. Whether I don't see them going to the third option. I see it being a Derek King game, if anything. So I still just don't see. I just don't see San Antonio having much of a chance in this game. They got lucky last year because they were playing Orlando. So, and that's why they did well. So anyway, I would say DC easily in this game. Unless something really crazy happens. So at least that's my thought.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, I'm back now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it could be interesting just because I think DC is going to rest a lot of people. But yeah, the Brahmas have had so many struggles on offense. If the offense that played last week shows up, they have a good chance, but usually that hasn't been what shows up. So
yeah, exactly. I mean, it's all leagues who the offense,
Yeah, so we can get to the next game, the Sunday games. This is another big one for that QB race. Houston going to Arlington. These are two teams that played before. Last time they played, Houston won 23-14. So I had a little interesting thing because again, Houston has clinched home field advantage. They're not playing for anything. I expect, especially since Brandon Silvers didn't do the best in his last start, they're going to be starting Cole McDonald. Worst case scenario is Cole McDonald plays really badly and they just go to, and Brandon Silvers gets a nice rest day. Best case scenario, maybe Cole McDonald absolutely dominates and maybe you go to him in the playoff game. But after that, I don't know who to put because the Roughnecks have a lot of depth. Like they have 2 running backs who they use a lot. They have 3 wide receivers that they use pretty interchangeably. So I don't know who they're gonna put into this. I don't know who's gonna play in this game if they decide to rest starters, which I imagine they do to a certain extent. I have no idea who's gonna play in this
See,
game.
and I tell you what, I don't like the idea of resting starters. Especially in a league like this with so few games in it. I'm not one to rest starters. I'm just more of a, play your guys, run it through.
I get to a point. I think a lot of it is. I I don't mind if you're resting guys after you've already clinched everything, because even over just 10 games, that can be rough for you. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't like resting like NBA does this a lot. They're like, oh, load management. We're gonna rest starters. I'm never a fan of that. But for these 2 teams where it's already, hey, uh,
Mm-hmm.
we've got nothing to play for. We're in.
Yep.
There's nothing we can do this game that helps. Maybe just want to you get fresh legs, especially for like with DC and Abram Smith. I think he's had so many more carries
Yeah.
than everyone else. You really want to keep him. He didn't have a good game last week. Maybe you're worried he's breaking down. You definitely want to get him a rest day. But they could just play their starters. I don't know if they're going to bench their starters. That's just an assumption I'm having.
Yep.
I couldn't find
Well,
any
you know what
official.
the thing is? The thing is, it's a good assumption because that's what all these people do of all these leagues.
Mhm.
That type of stuff. It's what they do.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily. I don't. I think that's dangerous to do that sometimes, and things like that. So it's a crapshoot, because how many times have I seen in the NFL when teams go through, they sit people the last week or two, and sometimes they do it multiple weeks, that's the thing. And then, um, you know, you know, um, it's a risk you take with this game. And the thing is, do you go, just, you know, so many times, and I've seen enough sports Whoop over the years to know you got to be careful how you do these things, because so many times your team's in a flow, playing well, and then you do this. They're so afraid of being having an injury, okay, that you end up hurting your team. You actually, as Daisy is saying here, it can break the player's season rhythm. It can break everybody's team's rhythm and stuff like that, Uh, that type of thing. It really, I've seen it happen way too much to teams that were really, really hot going to the end of the season, and then they just can't do anything. They're out of rhythm. They don't play well. What they were doing does not work. Defenses fall apart against the injury issue. Now, I'll tell you, I am careful with that, because I will tell you, I think more the question about pulling players to me is a game by game situation, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
You get a big lead in a game. Do you really need your starters out there just jacking up the score? I would even question that in college football sometimes now with playoffs and stuff like that. They really can be questioned on that. One of the key examples that I remember seeing before was Florida, Alabama many years ago when Urban Meyer was still in one of his early years at the University of Florida. Florida got run out of the field early. It was bad, and it was really, really bad. And it was not Nick Saban. I think it was Mike Shula was the coach. Was it Saban? I do not. I think it was Mike Shula. I think this was before the Saban years. Either way, Alabama was up. You knew they were going to win the game. And Tyrone Prothrow was the wide receiver. It was like a 4th and whatever, and they threw a big, long, almost like a Hail Mary type pass where they ended up jumping for it. Kid comes down, busts his hip beyond all measure. He's just, and he never played again after that. Yeah, those are situations that I worry about. Whether you should pull your starter. You got a game, it's in hand. All right, bye, Bucky. Thanks for coming. Sorry about the phone problems, but thanks for hanging out with us. But those are the type of situations where I see the point of use your judgment about pulling your players out. And you still be careful. The ultimate example I remember is Florida Rutgers in the 1980s. Florida had 28-7 lead, ended up tied at 28. Because you pulled your starters in the third quarter. But it just, to me, this is a risk you take when you pull them too far out. And especially a team like Houston whose offense has been kind of up and down lately. So, but anyway, that's just the dad man philosophy. So we got in this game Houston and Arlington. So like I said, 6-3, 4-5. Houston's outscored their opponents by 49, scoring 222 points while giving up 173. Arlington, though, has been outscored by their opponents by 32 points, scoring 137 while giving up 169 points in the game. So that's the matchup there. And I see with, what, and I'll be honest, I'm probably going to go against my normal thing. I will say that probably Houston maybe sit the starters, but even if they don't, there's something Arlington now after last week with the offense, and I've seen Luis Perez play 2 weeks in a row, and he's looked good. That game against Orlando, they just could not get touchdowns, but they still won. This last week he throws for 300 yards. I see Arlington winning this game at home.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking so as well. So 26 points was the most Arlington scored all year, and that was last week.
Wow.
Luis Perez has this team running. Saul Canella had a season high in yards. He's kind of slowed down lately because the quarterback play has just been so rough.
Yeah.
But he's been pretty solid all early year, and it looks like he's back to being that for the team.
Yeah.
I think Luis Perez can really help this offense play well.
And he's made a difference. He really has. In the games I've seen, he's made a difference.
He's been so much better than the other two quarterbacks that they had. And, Renegades have a lot to play for. They don't necessarily need to win this game, but if they do, they're in. So, they've got plenty to play for. Houston maybe doesn't have as much to play for. So we'll see how it goes. I would pick Arlington as well in this one. Yeah. So on to the last game of the week, a night game, the most important game for me. And that is Vegas traveling to Seattle to play the Sea Dragons. And you've got last time they played, Seattle edged out a win 30-26. Vegas, you got Jalen McClendon, only 3 games played, but he's done pretty well. 672 passing yards, 128 rushing yards. He does have 4 fumbles, but no interceptions. 67% completion, 5 passing touchdowns. He's been pretty good protecting the ball in that way, at least. There's a little bit of a lack of weapons. They do still have wide receiver Jeff Badette, who's pretty good, but he's been quieter lately. And John Lovett, this is a thing with their running backs. They don't have much of a running game. John Lovett is their second leading rusher. Their first one only has a 3.2 yards per carry, and even John Lovett is below 4 yards per carry and under 90 rushing yards per 52 carries. He's just such a factor in the passing game. Only 4 catches, but 269 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns. And I put linebacker Pita Tamapenu has 7.5 sacks and 4 forced fumbles. 4 forced fumbles, I believe, leads the league, or is second. And I know 7.5 sacks is second. He's been a pretty dominant player.
Let me say hello to Jeremy, 5 rusher approved. Welcome.
Hello.
Welcome in, my friend. Hey, we still got 10 people with us. So, hey, make sure you smash that like button, sub if you haven't, and, follow us on Twitch side. So, yeah, and we're we're going through this week's matchups of week 10, and we will, the concluding week of the XFL regular season. So so Peter's got one of those names. It's like how the heck do you say that? And kind of one of the names that make me hungry.
That's good.
Sorry to throw you off there, but
no, it's funny. But the Sea Dragons, they have the leading passer and the leading receiver, Ben DiNucci and Ja'Cour Pearson. DiNucci still is pretty mistake prone. He's limited it lately, but still another late fourth quarter turnover he had last week, which didn't come back to bite him, but it could have. He kind of has a habit of doing that. But it's interesting. This offense, this team looks pretty good. They've been doing very well, but aside from last week, they usually don't run away with the game. Now, last week they absolutely did, and they're on a roll, and they're going back home, so this could be huge for them. They've got some good players on defense, like Quinterio Cole, one of the best safeties in the league, I'd say, so far this year. It's kind of hard to say. I think the smart money would be on taking Seattle, but I want my Battlehawks in the playoffs, so I'm going to pick Vegas. And Vegas has looked good. They almost who did they beat 2 weeks ago? Or they almost beat Houston. It was very close. They beat was it the Brahmas that they beat pretty well.
Let me see, get back.
Almost beat the Battlehawks as well on the road. So they were a pretty good team. And they've looked a lot better with Jalen McClendon in their center. So
yeah, absolutely.
I think in the end, probably the smart money is Seattle, but I'm sticking with what gets my Battlehawks into the playoffs. So I'm picking the Vegas Vipers.
I don't blame you. I'd stick with that too. But let's see. Let's look at that real quickly, as long as I don't blow up the computer with this. Let's see. Week 9, Vegas lost to Houston 28-21. A close game. That was last week. Week 8. Vegas almost beat St. Louis, lost by 4. So, in the week 6, and they lost. Let's see. I don't want to say. Let's see. Week 9, week 8. Let me go back. Let me make sure I got the weeks, because they lost a week. In week 8, lost to St. Louis by 4 points. Week 7. They beat San Antonio 26-12. Yep, exactly. They won that one going away in week 7. So that was the big win that they had. Week 6, of course that was the first game with McClendon playing, I believe.
Yep, he's played.
And they lost 29-6 to St. Louis that week. And then they beat Orlando 35-32 the week before, so in week 5. So that's how their season's gone. Yeah. So, okay, I'm done. I'm done trying to test the computer, Balzette. It's all good. Now, is that don't dadman the computer or don't dadman the computer? So, oh my gosh. All right. So that's what okay, that's our game. And you took a Vegas on this one?
Yeah, I'm taking Vegas on this one.
I would like to, but I got to take Seattle being the home team. I just, it's where the smart money goes. It's a conservative choice. I hope Vegas wins for your sake. I really do. But then again, you got to look, though, at Las Vegas St. Louis can only blame itself. It had an easy schedule at home, and they frankly didn't show up last week. Even though they still had a chance in the second half, but they just did not show up.
Yeah, it was not ideal. But all right, so
computer be like.
Do you want to get into the playoff scenarios?
Yeah. Yep. Let's do it.
All right, so they're a little bit more complicated than this because a lot of these go deep down into the line. But we're going to this playoff implications. How St. Louis and Seattle works out essentially. Now, there's a little bit more to this than that, and I can explain it. But pretty much, it's all up to Seattle. See if Seattle loses versus Las Vegas, doesn't matter what the Battlehawks do, they're in. That part is easy. If Seattle loses, they're in. If Seattle loses, the Battlehawks are in. That's because second tiebreaker is so first tiebreaker is head to head. That's tied no matter what. Second tiebreaker is division record. Battlehawks are already confirmed in at 3-3 on the three wins, 3 losses on the division. Seattle is currently 2 wins, 3 losses, and they're playing Vegas, which is a divisional game. If they lose that, they go to 2-4. And Battlehawks, no matter what, if they win or lose, if they win, obviously they're in by record. But if they lose and tie Seattle, they get in versus that division tiebreaker. Now, for Seattle to win, pretty much all they have to do is win. It's pretty much a win-it-in scenario. Not 100%, but if they win, that head-to-head is tied, division matchup is tied, record of teams beaten is the same because both these teams lost once to each other and twice to the DC Defenders. And then the fourth tiebreaker is very confusing, but pretty much how I understand it is, you get the aggregate of points scored and points for and points against within the division, like your rankings, which is very confusing. I don't know why they don't just go with point differential, but with how badly Seattle beat the Battlehawks last week, pretty much they have more points scored and less points allowed than the Battlehawks, and by a pretty decent amount. I believe in order to make this interesting, St. Louis would have to score 19 more points than Seattle would. And, this is assuming Seattle wins. So if Seattle wins, I don't see any scenario where St. Louis gets 19 more points than them. That would be, a record-breaking game, essentially. So there is point differential stuff. If St. Louis did do that, then yes, they'd be in the playoffs instead. I just think that's pretty unlikely. So they'd have to score 19 more points and allow like 3 less points. The 3 less points is not undoable, but doing 3 less points plus with 19 more points, that just seems very unlikely.
Let me see that again.
But it's that fourth
because they would both. I've got it trying to get. So they would both end up with a 7-3 record.
Yep.
If they both win, so then it's the point differential. So let me go back to the.
So it's not just point differential; it's like ranking of points for and points against, within their divisions.
Yeah, and I'm pulling up that stat right now. Let me work to pull this over, and then maybe you can help explain it to people that want to look at this.
Okay.
Okay. Let me see. Let's see. I'm going to bring this up here. So I'm going to add this one to the stream. Oh, there we go. All right. So what we see is, okay, so we see St. Louis and Seattle. Okay, so Seattle has outscored their opponents 47. St. Louis has outscored their opponents by 22. There's a 25-point different margin right there. So St. Louis has scored 196, given up 174, but Seattle scored more at 215 and given up less at 168. So how are you saying that this works again?
So they go by like combination of rankings of points for and points against. So right now, Seattle is second in the division in points for and first in the division in points allowed.
Okay.
The Battlehawks are third in points for and second in points allowed. So because Seattle, second and first, and Battlehawks third and second, the Seattle gets the tiebreaker essentially.
Yeah, I got you.
I guess I don't know how it would go with. I think at the end it wouldn't matter too much, um, just because. So if St. Louis gets 19 more points than Seattle, which seems unlikely,
Mm-hmm.
then they pass that. If they allow 6 less points, I guess that is, than Seattle does, which is
That
possible.
is really a weird way to. That's really a weird way to
It's
rank.
very weird.
That's very weird. I mean,
Yeah,
my thing should just be score differential. I mean,
yeah,
at
I
that
thought
point,
so as well.
25 points that would be like so hard to overcome. But still, it's like, oh man. So
But essentially,
mm,
that's what would have to happen to make this another tie.
yeah,
And what the next thing would be is then you're ranking it by total league, in which case, right now Seattle is third in points scored, St. Louis is fourth, and Seattle is second in points allowed, while St. Louis is fifth, actually. So then that gets
hmm,
into very St. Louis is even more in a disadvantage there. Uh,
yeah,
in all likelihood, if this ends in a tie and goes to points for and points allowed rankings,
yeah,
you're going to be seeing Seattle in the playoffs.
yeah. So it's
So
pretty much, really, practically speaking, folks, is that Vegas needs to beat Seattle for St. Louis to advance.
mhm,
I mean,
that's pretty much
I
it.
mean, when you look at this, Vegas has been outscored by the opponents by 49 points, and they're only averaging less than 20 points a game at 175 points a game on offense. When you're only scoring 20, you're not going to outscore somebody by 19. You know,
Hmm.
so it
Yep.
just so I would be a big Vegas fan for Woopah this week, folks.
Yes.
So now listen, next week if Vegas does win this game and beat Seattle, you got to come on and be all hype man Woopah, like
I
muscle arm
will.
Woopah, grow arms and everything else. Okay,
Okay.
there you go.
Yeah.
Well, we still got 11 people with us tonight. Hey, wow, thank you everybody. Smash that like button. Thank you for being here and hanging out with us. We're getting near the ramp. You know what's so funny, Whoopa? It's been 2 hours just about, and it does not feel like it.
Yeah. Time goes by pretty
And we've
fast.
got this many people still hanging out with us, listening, participating. After for really a league that's really very small and does not have a lot of national interest, but we're talking football, folks, and thank you for being here, for lurking, for all that y'all do. Thank you for being here, and just want to say that, cannot thank that enough. All right, so let me give you back the control, but that I wanted to show that so people could see numerically how that worked, what you were saying with that. Give it some context. So now in the South Division, we have a
Hmm.
different situation, much more complicated.
I'd say a little less
Oh,
complicated,
you think a
maybe.
little less?
Uh,
Well, okay. I see.
it's kind of
To me,
similar
the North
depending.
was easier because because to me practically is Vegas has to beat Seattle. That's it. I mean, it's
Yeah, that's pretty much.
that,
I guess.
which I think is a tough case for them to do uh, to begin with. But then
Yeah.
again, we'll have to see what happens. But okay, so then the South Division.
So this essentially, Arlington is in the lead. They've got a 1 game up. If they win versus Houston or San Antonio loses, uh,
Mhm,
that's it. They're in. There's only really one scenario where this happens, and that's with a
mhm,
win. San Antonio gets a win versus DC, and Arlington loses versus Houston. Then they're both tied. They get through the first 3 tiebreakers because they're tied head to head. They both had the same divisional record, and they'd both have lost to the same people, being Arlington loses to Houston twice. They both lost to DC, or who'd they beat? They both beat the Guardians twice. They both beat each other once. And oh, wait a second. Oh no, yeah, that's what it would be. Sorry, got sidetracked. If the Brahmas win and Arlington lose, then yeah, they're both tied head to head, and they both
Mm-hmm.
had the same division record. So it goes to, which I do think is this one's good, is division ranking or record of teams that you beat. So you take the record of the teams that you beat. Whoever has the better record there wins. They've both beat each other once.
Mm-hmm.
They both beat Orlando twice.
Okay.
And then you'd be looking at the other win is Arlington beat Vegas, who are 2-7 right now. If San Antonio beats DC, well, DC would be 8-2. So San Antonio would have the better record between the record for teams beaten. So San Antonio gets the victory there and
Okay.
that tiebreaker, and they would be going on to the playoffs. If they win and Arlington lose, they're in the playoffs.
Mm.
But if Arlington wins or San Antonio loses, it doesn't matter. Arlington's in.
See, my friends, this is the high quality expert knowledge you get here with the great Woopah Troopah. And for all you nerds and geeks out there that think sports ball cannot be nerdy and geeky, this is what makes sports nerdy and geeky. You know, these playoff scenarios. I tell you, in the NFL show earlier this year, I had Clobbertimes on, and his mind nearly exploded with, because that one game got canceled. And when they involved scenarios with the coin flip, it was like nobody could explain what happened and who would get a neutral site playoff game. That was crazy. But still, folks, this is why we love sports. We can geek out and nerd out to it and just have a lot of fun with this and stuff. It's just, yes, exactly, Bowsette. The numbers are exceedingly geeky. Exactly. All right. Well, thank you, Woopah. We'll see what happens this weekend. It is a big game, and really, every game matters, I think, this week. Maybe DC's game, let's see. San Antonio, DC, Arlington, Houston, all these games. Every one of them, Vegas, Seattle, and then Orlando, St. Louis. Every game has a playoff implication. I mean, even St. Louis, they've got to win if they're going to have a chance. So, and this is what you want with sports, folks. This is the geekiness of sports, and the drama and the passion of it is right down to the end. It's like, will you advance? Will you move on? And, and that's where it comes down to. So,
yeah.
All right.
So it'll be interesting. I'm hoping for a Seattle loss. It can definitely get crazy if I find it very doubtful that St. Louis wins a tiebreaker if they both win, but we'll see.
Absolutely.
I think all these games should be fun to watch.
They should be. They should be fun to watch this week. A good week, and that's very appropriate for the end of the season. Is to have it like this, have that drama.
Yeah, definitely.
We got. Yep. Exactly. So, and we are doing good. So, you have any other thoughts, Woopah, for this week, or?
No more thoughts for me. That pretty much covers everything. We have been talking for a while, so.
Absolutely. I mean, it's funny how, you get on these things and it's like 2 hours go by. You're like, and then all of a sudden you're like, damn, the time's flown, and it's not been bad. It's not been like boring or dragging or dead air. It's really been a lot of fun, with all this stuff. So, all righty. So we go out with still 10 people with us. Thank you all for staying and being here so long. We appreciate all your support. Join us next Friday. We should be next Friday at 8:00 again, where I'll tell you right now, there'll be some streams this week, but I will not be streaming from Tuesday to Thursday next week. I will be dealing with some work things, and so there'll be a few nights off next week. But we're going to come back Friday night, and thank you, Daisy, as always, and good night. But stay around for just a couple quick show notes real quick. But thank you, Woopah, for everything. Thank you for your great stats, great graphics and all. And, look forward to talking playoffs next week and previewing the playoffs and see who advances and how this week plays out. I hope for you Vegas wins so that you can your team can advance. So,
Yeah.
best wishes for you on that, and go cheer loud as you can. And bye, Bowsette. Hey, yeah, we're going to have a little special thing in a little bit. I'm just about to announce real quick. So let me announce it before you get out of here, because it's Friday night. You're too young to go to bed. Everybody's too young to go to bed, because you know what we're going to do tonight, Woopah?
What?
We are actually going to have fun, because on Friday nights, normally I'm over with Mark D with C playing late night Fortnite on his channel, but with some things he's got tomorrow, he's going to join us a little bit. But hey, we're going to bring the Fortnite late night Friday fun back to my channel tonight for some Friday after dark Fortnite fun at 11 p.m. Eastern in just under an hour. So, hey, folks, hope to see you there. Hope you join us for that. It's going to get rowdy. It will definitely be 18 plus. You never know what will happen when we do Fridays after dark. So, depends on who we have playing, who shows up, who's in the chat. Could get dangerous, could get kind of rowdy. So, my friends, hey, but join us there in just about an hour. Love to see you there for it. And then also, look, there could be a surprise game stream on Saturday, Sunday, or chill streams. I don't know, depend to make up for missing a few nights next week. We'll have to see how that goes. Oops, wrong one. It's not Halloween, my friends. But hey, we can pretend it was. So, anyway. Let's see. Let me go back over here. And all right. Let's see. Hold on. Okay. It doesn't help when you have two of the same image up. It kind of doesn't help. But hey, on Monday night at 8 p.m. here, we're going to do another Sports Weekly with Dad Man. Join me at 8 p.m. Monday night as I look forward to some news articles, news stories. Hey, I'll try to find a soccer story for some people out there. We'll see what happens. Next week, though, we'll probably pick some with the NFL draft, because that's coming up later in the week, and just hit some side stories. Probably update the baseball standings and a little bit of hockey playoff advancements, because my Devils suck and I've lost 2 games to the Rangers. So it looks like it's an early thing. Oh, you're 42 and you've been gaming for a while. Well, rest your eyes, my friend. But hey, hang out and chat. We'll just see. But hey, that's good. And joining me Monday night for this new thing that I'm working on the formats and stuff like that with it. So try to join us if you can. And as always, follow us on Twitch at twitch.tv, dadmanwalking55. Subscribe over here on the YouTube side at dadmanwalking55. Also, we got 2 more subs today and tonight. So thank you for everybody that's done that. Make sure you smash that like button on the way out, so that we can get as many likes as we can. But also check out Twitter, dadmanwalking55, to find out the latest plans and things that are coming down the road. Make sure you hit the notifications on the Twitch side. Make sure you hit the bell on the YouTube side so you can get a notification when I do that. And hey, Lisa is still lurking, my friends. Yes, you heard the New York Rangers. His team is up 2-0 on my Devils. So, although the Devils are a great road team, but I don't know, going down 2-0, I don't know. Not much of a chance, but we'll talk a little bit about that on Monday maybe. We'll see what happens. But with that, in just less than an hour, we're going to be Fortniting it for how long tonight, and we're raising some hell. But hey, join us if you can over there. Let's have fun, lurk out, and just do everything else. And you guys have a great night. Woopah, great as always. Thank you for your help, man. Thanks for being here.
No problem.
Absolutely. And next week, I expect Vegas to win, and you come in roaring man Woopah. So, all right, folks, on that note, y'all have a great night, and see you a little bit later. And thank you for being with us. We appreciate it all. Bye, all.